It's time for a Spider-Man No Way Home discussion. Let's get into the spoilers. Hey, it's me, AP, and welcome to the Saturday Movie Show, everyone. I hope you're all having a lovely Saturday as always. And today's headline topic will be an open discussion about the new Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, that's hit the cinemas worldwide this week. I thought I'd give it a few days before we really do deep dive into this episode today. We'll give a further announcement of spoilers ahead, but this will be a spoiler episode. There will be lots of spoilers about the movie. I will label it on the thumbnail as well and stuff, because I don't want to spoil this for everyone. I know, not everyone has seen this movie as of yet because it only came out midweek, so I don't want to really reveal to people parts of the story that they don't know about as of yet, because I've been on YouTube already and I've seen stuff on YouTube that people have posted, and if I hadn't already have seen the movie, it would have been spoiled for me. It's going to be spoilers deep into what the plot is and what we've seen on film in that film later on in the episode. So if you've not watched it, do yourself a favour. If you want to enjoy the movie without spoilers, don't watch any more of this episode today. Maybe come to this at a later point when you have seen the movie. There you go, that's your disclaimer for the episode. I will give another one before we deep dive into the headline topic of today's show. But before we get into today's headline topic of Spidey topical debate, we will deep dive into another part of the show, and this is the section of the show called Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. It's a bit of a weird name, but it's kind of stuck now. It just came out of nowhere, and it's cemented itself in to a part of the DNA of the show, part of the furniture now. Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. This is the part of the show where we discuss what's going on with the channel, what's going on with the community here on the Saturday Movie Show. So it's just an easing session for the rest of the show. So what's been going on this past week? So we had a new video come on the channel this week. New video was about 10 out of 10 movies. This was, again, another really fun video to do. This was part of like a batch recording I did a few weeks back. And I really enjoyed it, just going through the collection, finding movies that I have just, really had a lot of fun with over the years, and what I declare in my mind as a 10 out of 10 movie. So it was nice going through that list, and I'm thinking I'm probably going to do a few more of them type of videos in the future. Spread them out over every couple of months, do a 10 out of 10 movies kind of video. So I really enjoyed that. And it was cool, again, as always, see the community here interact with that video and lead the thoughts. That was awesome. I always enjoy that. And I love hearing from other people's opinions on what their favourite movies are and what the 10 out of 10 movies are as well. Always good to hear. So that was a good video to do this week. I really enjoyed that. Coming up this coming Monday, the 20th of December 2021, we have our pay-per-view episode of December. Every 3 months we do a pay-per-view episode. What does that mean? It means we do something special on the channel. We do either a quiz. Earlier on this year we had the short film come out on the September release of the pay-per-view episode. It was like a pay-per-view event, I call it. And it's just, like I said, it's just to try and make each third month of the year feel a bit more special and bit more exciting. We do something a bit more special. It comes from me being a big time wrestling fan, where you have pay-per-views. I know they have them every month, but I just try and do it every 3 months just to make it a bit more special. So we have the Christmas quiz coming up on Monday. I will be the quiz master. I have decided now, I would have loved to get guests on board for this. I'll be honest with you though, the timing for myself personally, it would have been unfair on other people, because it's finished in the filming now. I've still not even put the quiz together. So literally on tomorrow, Sunday, I'm going to be writing the quiz, recording it in the same day. And I think it would be unfair for me to just at the drop of the hat start asking people to drop what they're doing to come on board for a quiz. So, I mean, I probably said this last time, but the intention is, if we do future quizzes on the channel, we will eventually get people involved, participants live in video. For this one only though, this year, again, we are going to stick to the usual format. I'm going to be the quizmaster. I'm going to share the quiz with you all, and it'll be ace because you'll be able to get involved either way. Either way, whatever happens, you can get involved in this quiz, and I'd love to hear. I might do a premiere so you can watch along and leave your answers if you wish to. I think that would be fun. But that's going to come up on this coming Monday, the Christmas quiz, Christmas movie quiz it is. It'll be about all different types of Christmas movies, so there's no particular movie. It's going to be fun, hopefully, and I hope you all enjoy it. And if you have some time free on Monday, or if you want to do it at a later day, check it out. Come and join the quiz and leave your honest answers in the comments of that, and that'll be fun to do. But yeah, it's just good fun. I just like doing stuff like this. I find it really fun and energizing and positive for myself, as well as interacting with you all and seeing other people get involved. I get a buzz from that. It's awesome. So that's coming up on Monday. What else have we got to talk about? Well, I've been thinking about this in my mind. So I am going to take, after Monday, a short Christmas break going into the new year. I think just a pause on the channel. I think it's good. To be honest, it's Christmas next week, then it's New Year, and I feel like the content anyway. I think let's wind it down for the year. Let's have a break a week or two. Initially, was just going to do the Saturday movie show, take a break from that. I've decided now that I'm going to take a break from the usual Thursday videos as well, and there will be Patreon content coming out around the Christmas period, but that's been pre-recorded in. But just usual content, it's going to take a break till after Christmas now, after New Year. I will be back. I say a short break, I really do mean a short break. I mean, literally probably like the first week of January. What is it, like a week, 2 weeks away or something like that? We'll be back with the usual content and back with new content for the new year. But I thought it was just cool, I think for everyone, I don't suffer from like burnout or anything like that. I've never had it, and maybe I will eventually. But for me, it's a hobby. It's an enjoyable hobby, a pass to do, and to just interact with other film fans like yourself. And for me, it's fun. But I think it's nice also to take a little break from things over Christmas. Take a break, and I don't want to be checking YouTube. I honestly just want to take a break from YouTube over Christmas and just like kind of just watch movies and just chill out and stuff. And not that it isn't a chill, like reading comments and stuff, but sometimes you find yourself. I like sometimes I can go into YouTube and it's like a rabbit hole. You go into YouTube, you reply to a comment, and then I'm watching a video, and then I watch another video, and it's me because I'm a viewer of YouTube as well. It's not necessarily. I enjoy communicating, but for me, it's like I'll just go on YouTube for hours and hours and hours. Then it's YouTube is a rabbit hole, and I thought, you know what? Let's just completely take a break from YouTube and stuff over Christmas. Enjoy some movies, enjoy some Christmas festivities, play some video games, and So I will be back in the new year with fresh new content. I'm not burnt out. I feel energized. I just want to take a nice little short Christmas break. I think we all need a break, don't we, from whatever we do, whether it be something we enjoy or something we don't. It's always good to take a break at some point, whether or whatever it may be. But anyway, so I just thought I'd let you all know and just throw it out there that there won't be any content on Thursday or the following Thursday or the following Saturday. So that's the Christmas break over and done with. Got out of the way. Let's see, plans moving into 2022. Look, I am super excited for the new year. I think this year has been a great year, and I mean, this is leading to my last bit on the show. Last bit to talk about on Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping is the next. This is the last show of the year, the last Saturday movie show of the year. We got the Christmas quiz on Monday. But I gotta say that this has been a superb year for the channel. The channel's grown so much. I mean, under no illusion, this is still a very small channel. But I feel like even though it's like a small community, it's such a large community because we've got some great people involved and interacting within the community, which is awesome. I've met some great people over the past year or so through YouTube, which is awesome. And I've had a lot of fun with it, and I hope you've enjoyed the content that has been put out this year. the movie-related content. It's been so much fun to do. I've enjoyed doing the Saturday shows, the Thursday videos. It's always been a joy to do, to talk about movies and to interact with you all. So first of all, just a big thank you for this year. It's been great. As I said, to see the subscribers go. We've had a bunch of new subs this week even, and it's just awesome. It's awesome to see new people getting involved in the community. You see like new names come up and new people interacting. It's cool. I really enjoy it. Big thank you to you all. Thank you for getting involved this year. Thank you for supporting the content, for watching the content. Look, you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. If you watch it, I hope it's because you enjoy it. And big thank you. I do appreciate it. And thank you just for getting involved. It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm using awesome way too many times. I'm doing these videos and doing the Thursday ones, the Saturday ones. I don't watch through anymore. I'll put it up. I'll do a brief edit and throw it online. The Thursday ones, I do watch, and I notice I do have buzzwords. So for me, it was like initially I used to think I had like a nervous tick, I suppose, with me doing like spontaneous giggles and laughs, and I kind of like knocked out of the system from editing, just like noticing a certain thing I was doing. But I do still have them buzzwords, like for me it's like awesome. What is it, like awesome, cool, Bud. I'd probably say Bud way too many times on YouTube and comments, but it's just the way I talk. Maybe that New Year's resolution, get some new buzzwords. So I got to improve on awesome, cool, and fantastic. I'll improve from then. I'll get some better buzzwords. But yeah, this is the last show of the year. It's going to be a fun show. Moving into 2022, I got a few different plans. Look, the format for the Saturday show, we're going to change it up a bit, improve it. It's still going to be a Saturday movie show, but it's going to be the new improved version of the Saturday movie show. I'm thinking of it like the Saturday movie show 2.0. It's going to get a new, a little bit of a repaint moving into the new year, and I'm excited for it. As well, I think what would be cool moving into 2022, the plan is, it's like a Saturday podcast, but it's not available as a podcast, and I think that is another. The first two directions is give it a new little lick of paint for moving into the new year, the Saturday movie show, and also at some point early on in the new year, make it available as a podcast for you all as well if you want to listen to it on the move. I'm one of those guys. I like to walk to wherever I'm going, and I enjoy listening to podcasts while I walk. It's fun. So I think if you enjoy it, maybe you would enjoy it on the move as well. So that is something I'm going to be sorting out in the new year, early on in the new year as well. But anyway, again, thank you all. Have a lovely Christmas and New Year, and let's deep dive in to the headline topic of today's show. So today's headline topic: Spider-Man No Way Home. We're going to do a deep dive discussion about this movie. Again, I said it at the start of the episode, but if you skipped ahead, maybe it's going to be spoilers here. There's going to be a lot of spoilers for the movie. If you haven't watched it, again, I will give you a countdown, spoiler count. So it's spoilers for the movie Spider-Man No Way Home ahead. Lots of big spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers will be ahead. You have been pre-warned to the spoilers ahead. So first of all, let me talk about the movie. What did I think of the movie? First of all, just general thoughts, like not a review as such, but just general thoughts. Watching this was the first movie I've went back to the cinemas since all of what's been going on in the world over the past 2 years. I just not felt comfortable, but this is the one that got me out the house it's not like I've been living indoors, I've been leaving the house. But it's the one that got me to the cinema, and it's the one that I first one that like Ghostbusters didn't like intrigue me, even though I wanted to watch that movie. But Spider-Man, I think it's the fact that I knew going into this there was going to be some big things, and it felt like it was going to be a big movie. So I felt like, you know what, I've got to brave it, I've got to put on the mask, get to the cinema and watch the movie. So this was the first movie back. And look, what did I think of the movie? It was I left the cinema and I tried to like digest it over like 24 hours, 48 hours. I didn't want to do like a straight out of the cinema review because I feel like now I need to really digest the movie to really take it all in before I really discuss my honest opinion of a movie, because you know you get them sort of like instant reactions and you're like, let's let it set in for a bit and see what I think. So first of all, I think it was a really fun movie. I think it was a fun movie throughout. I think it had a lot of like comedy moments in it. It had a lot of humor, some great action scenes. Outstanding. You know, I mean, I think the way it was put together, we all went going in. We knew, you know, we had expectations of seeing all the Spider-Men involved. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. We got it all, didn't we? We basically got everything that we wanted. It was a fun movie. It was entertaining. And yeah, I think just off the top of my head, that's what I would say. It was just, you know, it was a really exciting film to watch. As a Marvel fan, I think it had a lot of fan service in there. It had a lot of stuff for the fans. I felt if you were a deep Marvel fan, I think if you're the guy or the girl who is watching every Marvel movie, but you also like know even more like weird details about the actors, the movie, the characters. There was so much of that in it. It felt like it was a real deep dive into like Spider-Man movies and Spider-Man lore, and I think it was cool. I think it worked in some moments. I think some moments it didn't work as much. I think it went a bit too far, and I will be getting into that. Some things I didn't maybe like as much, but yeah, overall I had a great time watching it. I think it was an entertaining film, and it wasn't a film where I walked out the cinema on like feeling like I watched Iron Man 3. It wasn't like that. I went out the cinema and I was like, you know what, it was a fun movie. It was a fun movie. It was no Avengers Endgame, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to throw that out there. It wasn't, for me, the way it was hyped up as like an Avengers Endgame. I think, you know, it was, but it wasn't. I mean, Endgame was just on its own level. And as superhero movies go, I think that is like the top level of superhero comic book movies. I think Spider-Man is close. I think it's close behind it, but I still think Endgame is on its own level. But, you know, that's a massive team-up movie. That is like every Avenger, an all A-star cast. Not that this wasn't, but I mean, it had, you know, members of the cast from all of these hit movies. Whereas this was like a few movies. And it was like a smaller version of that. And it was still great. You know, it was still great. And that's not a knock on it. That's just saying I think that was it was on a different level. And I think maybe a lot of people would agree with that sort of point of view on that, because Endgame was just unreal. But this, yeah, going out the cinema, I had a smile on my face. I had the mask on, but you could see there was a smile. My eyes were squinting with a nice smile after watching this film. Yeah. So let's talk about one part of it first of all, the returns of characters, or the surprises, if you will. So we have this movie. It's been so heavily rumoured, like the worst kept secret, that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, their versions of Spider-Man from the previous incarnations, the previous franchises, would feature in this movie. Even though they denied it for months, it was heavily rumoured for at least a year. I think one of the first Saturday movie shows was covering the topic of the Spider-Man, this Spider-Man movie, and the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were rumoured to return, and this was over a year ago now, I'm pretty sure. So it's you know, it's been rumours for so long, and I think if we walked into that cinema and we didn't see them two characters return, how disappointed would we have all been? I would have been super disappointed. I would have been really let down, because I think everyone would have been, and I think that's why we all knew going in. We knew it was coming, but even though when it did come, it still was a cool surprise to see. We also got the return of Matt Murdock into the MCU now. So it previously was part of the Netflix versions and the Netflix TV show, which I really enjoyed. He has now joined the MCU. It looks like it's like a reboot of that character somewhat. Maybe we'll get some further details on what's going to happen in the future. But it sounds like we are potentially going to get either a Netflix, a Disney Plus Daredevil show, or a Disney Plus, or just a Daredevil movie. I would be more inclined to say it's going to be a Daredevil TV show again. I think that works better for Daredevil, for that character. So that'll be exciting to see. So Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox returned to that role, which he played in the show, and we just seen him as Matt Murdock. We didn't see him as Daredevil, but he's shown that he has obviously powers in this, where he catches a brick in midair when he's like Spider-Man's lawyer, and he gets thrown into Spider-Man's house after people there's a mob outside after people find out that he's Spider-Man. And he catches this brick in mid-air. He's a guy who's meant to be blind in the comics and blind in reality in this MCU. And he just says, I'm a really good lawyer. And they're just like super surprised that he can catches a brick in mid-air out of nowhere. So that was cool. That was, first of all, you could hear the cheers in the cinema. That was nice. Well, first of all, you heard, I think when Charlie Cox, he was the first appearance before the Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire returned. He returned first, and the cinema, there was rounds of applause like that. That was a weird experience, because not being in the cinema for so long, hearing other people react to films is a weird experience going back to cinemas, and hearing that for such a big movie was cool to see. So we had Charlie Cox's return. That was great. Then let's move forward into, now we have the big returns of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire into, this big movie. And I was interested to see how they would do this, because we had Endgame, and Endgame was done so well into bringing all these characters return from the dead, really. And how are they going to bring in these characters now from the multiverse, this multi-universe? And it kind of felt like, I was thinking, we all knew what we were going to see. We were going to see them, but it was like, how are they going to return? And it felt like they kind of did it. I was watching the movie, and this is why I talk about digesting a movie over 24, 48 hours to get an opinion. It kind of felt like a low-key. They're in that Ned and MJ are in the kitchen. Ned's got Doctor Strange's thing to do the magic, and he's doing these portals to say, find Peter Parker. And he opens a portal, comes through Spider-Man, and we think it's Tom Holland Spider-Man. They're trying to look for him. It turns out it's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. They're in this kitchen, and then they do the same, and then Tobey Maguire turns up just dressed as a guy in his civvies, and then they both reveal themselves to be Spider-Man from other universes. And it kind of felt a bit like low-key the way they came into it. It was because I kind of thought maybe it's going to come really at the end of the movie, where we're going to see these big, brief returns. But we kind of got them for quite a long period, I would say, of the movie. And they were integrating with the other characters, and, they were interacting. And it was good to see. I thought honestly it was going to be at the end of the movie. I thought it was going to be like brief. They'd show them, and then it'd be a final battle. But we didn't get that. We got them for a good portion of the movie, and they were helping into find ways to stop the villains within the story. And what did I think of these returns? It was low key, and at the time I was like, oh, this is a bit cheesy. And there was moments in there where it was a bit cheesy. But looking at it in hindsight, I think it was done well. I think it was done well for this story. I think there was only two ways you do. You either do a big return at the end where they just come in for this big final battle, and it would have been I think it would have been comparable to Endgame, like the final battle where Captain America is taking on Thanos. If they do it that way, it kind of feels like it's a bit of a copy, doesn't it? So they've done something a bit different. It was a bit more low-key, and they've done it into a comedy moment. It might not have been for everyone, but I think watching it back, I've seen some of the clips, watching it back on YouTube, and just remember it in my brain as well. I think it was quite good. It was quite good the way they did it, and I think it worked well for this movie, for this type of movie we're seeing here. And I was happy with it, and it was good that we we didn't know whether it was Tobey Maguire had the Spider-Man abilities at first, and then he shoots out his spider webs and he reveals it. And I thought Andrew Garfield was kind of fun as well, because his movies at times felt a bit like he was a bit moody. He was like a bit like an angry Spider-Man, and he felt like in this he was a bit more quite more lively and happy and joyful. And it was it felt like at times, a lot of the time, they were more playing their actual. It was just the actors playing in a movie, and they were just playing themselves. It didn't feel like sometimes they were playing the actual Spider-Man from the movie, but it worked well. I don't think it was a bad performances. I think it worked well within the film. So I think overall the returns, the surprises were good, and they were fun. They were enjoyable for a viewer watching them. I enjoyed them, and I think they did them well because, I mean, like I said, there was only two. We knew it was coming. It was how they do it. How do they implement this? And I don't think they did it bad. I think they did a decent go at doing these returns. Now, let's move in to, and first of all, as well, let me talk about the cheers. We had the claps for Charlie Cox returning as Matt Murdock. First of all, Andrew Garfield comes in the kitchen, and he's going, takes off his mask, and there's cheers. And it goes from the claps to the cheers, and then when Tobey Maguire turns up, it's just on a scale even louder. It was it was so weird to be in a cinema and experience that, but it was fun. It was a fun experience. But yeah, I liked it. I didn't say I wasn't applauding. I suppose I was doing a little small applause, but I was smiling. I thought it was cool. The villains, anyway. Let's move on to the villains now. We had a lot of villains in this. We had a lot of film returns. We had William Dafoe, Alfred Molina reprising the roles as Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, and Doc Ock, respectively. Jamie Foxx returns as Electro. We had Rhys Ifans as a Lizard. We had the guy who plays Sandman return as well. Is that all the villains? That is it. It was, we had all these different villains from different universes. They are brought in before they die to stop this spell that Spider-Man has done. Spider-Man's trying to stop everyone knowing he's Peter Parker. The spell goes wrong, and it pulls all the villains from the multiverse who know who Peter Parker's identity is as Spider-Man. And then he's got to take them all on, and basically it starts off him taking them on, like he puts them in this like cage that has been set up by Doctor Strange to keep them imprisoned. Then he decides to sort of like release them to try and save them, to try and make them not criminals anymore. It's a bit of a weird plot. And then it turns out, they all turn on Spider-Man. It's the end battle, and then he's got to like, get them again to send them back to where they go into the respective universes. I think there was like 3 standout performances on the villains. I think there was definitely subgroups of who were the top level villains in this and who were the bottom level. I think like bottom level villains in this for me were Sandman and the Lizard. They weren't the big villains in this. I would say the main villain is definitely William Dafoe's Green Goblin in this movie. First of all, he looked great. He looked like he hadn't aged a day since them, the movies in 2002, the early 2000s. William Dafoe was great in the role, and it was like an updated version of the Green Goblin villain. He had an updated look, but it worked well, and it worked well as the villain for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And then we had Doc Ock. The kind of like, it was a continuation of his Spider-Man villain in Spider-Man 2, where at the end of that movie, he was kind of becoming a good guy, So he comes into this universe a bit bad, but then he turns good and turns bad again, but then does the right thing in the end, and he turns out he's actually a good guy. So he's kind of like an anti-hero in this. Alfred Molina was great as well. Jamie Foxx, I would say, them 3, Jamie Foxx, Alfred Molina, and William Dafoe were the top-level villains in this movie with Electro, Green Goblin, and Doc Ock, respectively. They were the best ones. I think they had more airtime as well, more screen time as well with the other characters in the movie. And I think they all performed really well and interacted well with the heroes of the movie as well. And they worked well as the main antagonists. I think moving forward, will we see them again? It would be interesting, if we do if we see maybe a Secret Wars movie, if they bring in some of these characters, I think they could definitely do some more with these characters, bring them out of retirement again. I think, it's so easy. We could recast some of these roles, or the choice is now, like Green Goblin is such a big villain in the Spider-Man universe and in the MCU as a large, the Marvel universe. Do you recast that role, or do you keep William Dafoe in that role? I suppose it becomes a case of, if he wants to do it, definitely get him in, because he's the best man for the job. If not, can you get someone who can do a good enough performance as him? We've had other Green Goblins before, and they've never lived up to his Green Goblin, in my opinion. I think he is the best person for the role, the best actor. I would love to see him return. I think Jamie Foxx is another one who could potentially return. I think he's got a lot more to give to the MCU. I think he's a great performer. He could be great in a sequel and potential Sinister Six movie. I think that is where these villains are going to come in. I think they worked well in this movie, and I think that definitely, like I said, the Lizard and Sandman felt secondary, but it didn't feel oversaturated. I think it worked well enough where you had you knew who the main villain was on this. And I think that's why they did it right, where you knew at the point in this movie who the main guy, who the leader of the villains was, and it was Green Goblin. And it was kind of like Jamie Foxx was the second in command, Doc Ock was the anti-hero. And I think it worked well. I think they worked well as the main antagonist in the film. If they did a Sinister Six movie and they bring these villains back in, I think it would be great to see Spider-Man again. They could do this all again. They could have more. They could have another live action Spider-Verse where they have Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield involved, and you have these returning villains in a Sinister Six movie. I think it would work great. I don't think it felt like a teaser. You could integrate, now bring in like Mysterio, bring in Michael Keaton's Vulture, bring in these then to interact with the Green Goblin and build even more villains within this group. It could work. I think it would be great to see. I'm looking forward to seeing what the future is and with the Spider-Man villains and the Spider-Man characters moving forward. So the next thing I want to discuss is kind of some of the things I didn't enjoy watching this movie. Look, overall, like I said, it was a fun movie. I think in general, I like this film. Things I didn't enjoy, I feel like at sometimes in this movie, and maybe it's because I was hearing a lot more people laughing at things I didn't think was funny. And maybe that's just on me, because that maybe certain jokes I didn't like. And that's, humor's totally subjective. You like what you like. I heard a lot of people laughing at stuff I thought was not funny at all. I felt like there was I think there was too many quips, too many jokes at times. It was like a bit like low-hanging fruit with some of the jokes. The one thing I felt like I heard about 100 times in the film was MJ or someone like that, or Ned saying about your tingly thing. Have you heard about your tingly thing? So they're on about Spider-Man's spider sense, but they're using the term tingly thing because it sounds funny, And I can hear a joke like that once or twice, and it's like, oh yeah, it's funny. It felt like it was said about 100 times, and I know I'm over exaggerating it, but it felt like it was said way too many times, and it was just like, way to kill a joke. I mean, just like it sounds funny the first one or two times you say it, but then it was said about a few more times throughout the movie, and I was just like, oh my God, just say something else. Give us something else, a bit of a different quip. That was one kind of thing what bugged me, and it felt like sometimes there was where a joke was put in. Maybe it wasn't needed. They didn't need a joke, and it was like they were going to it was like scene, joke, scene, joke. And there was a few too many at times, I felt. That was my only drawback. And, one criticism of this film, just felt there was a few too many jokes. If they just kept a few of them back, I think I would have enjoyed it just a tiny bit more. And that's, again, I enjoyed the movie. It was just, I probably would have even enjoyed it even more so. That was one criticism of the movie, I would say, a bit too many of that in it. I think as well, the death scenes, the significance of deaths in this movie. So we see Aunt May lose her life in this movie. She gets killed in an attack by the Green Goblin. I felt like she kind of stood up, right? She gets he throws one of them, the Goblin bombs at her, and she's on the floor. Peter gets her up, and she stands up for a second, and then she falls down again. And it felt like she was just first of all, it didn't feel to me that she took a big knock. And then she got up and she was fine, and she fell to the floor. I didn't feel like this death felt as significant as Uncle Ben dying. And I felt like there was a further point in the movie where it would have been more of an important moment in the movie of someone else dying. I know she did that. She uttered that same line of great power. With great power comes great responsibility, and it was obviously meant to be an important moment in the movie. In this big moment of where Aunt May dies, I didn't get like. For me, maybe it's because I like the Spider-Man movies, but I wouldn't say I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I didn't feel an attachment to that character in this film series overall. And her losing her life didn't feel like an impactful moment in the movie for me as a viewer. And maybe you feel different. Maybe you have a bigger passion for Spider-Man movies than me. You feel a lot different. But for me, the death just didn't. It felt weak. It felt like a weak death. It didn't feel like it was a big moment in the film where it was obviously meant to be a significant moment in the plot, because this turns then Tom Holland Spider-Man. He has anger towards the Green Goblin. He wants to destroy the Green Goblin, and that's his motivation moving forward. But I just didn't feel like I just didn't have. I was watching it. I was like, oh, okay, she's died, but it just didn't feel like a big turning point in the movie. I felt like there was a death where it would have been more significant. So we get the returns of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and there's a battle scene at the end of the movie between Tom Holland and the Green Goblin, and the fighting, and then he has him on the floor. He gets his glider, and he's about to stab him with this glider, and then Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man jumps in front of Tom Holland and stops Tom Holland from destroying Goblin. And then we see the Green Goblin stab Tobey Maguire in the back, and we get this sort of like Han Solo death moment. And I'm watching it here, and I think everyone else in the cinema is thinking, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is being killed off. And you're just like, that's where I felt the moment. That's where I felt what I probably should have felt when Aunt May died. And I think that's what they were going for when Aunt May died. He gets stabbed, and you hear the crunch, and you just see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man just go like, ah! And you think, whoa, they're killing him off. They've just returned Tobey Maguire in this biggest movie of the year. Big return after 20 years of Spider-Man. And obviously he's getting killed off. And you're like, it's happened. They killed Spider-Man. They killed Tobey Maguire. And I'm just like, I felt it then. I felt shivers. I felt like, whoa, this is the moment. This is a big moment. And about 2 minutes later, he's standing up. Andrew Garfield's standing up, and he's laughing, and he's just shaking it off. He's fine. He's not dying. And it just didn't. It felt like they were teasing a big death, and they were giving us a big death, but they didn't give us the big death. They didn't go through with it. And it felt like a bit of a fake out for me. It was like a death fake out. It's like they were showing Tobey Maguire dying on scene, and then 5 minutes later, they cured the stabilize the Green Goblin. They're stabilizing all the villains so they can send them back to their respective universes. Andrew Garfield picks up Tobey Maguire. He's like holding him up, and he's just joking and laughing. He's saying, oh, "You're really hurting, aren't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm really hurting." And that's it. He doesn't die. They go back to their universes, and that's it. And that kind of like, I felt like it was a bit of a tease, but I thought it was like they give us such a significant moment, but they didn't pull the trigger on it. And it was, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why they give us this, like, if you get stabbed in the back like that, surely you are gone. You are gone the way you got stabbed by the Green Goblin. But maybe, I understand it as well, because I would be disappointed, because I would like to see more Tobey Maguire in future movies. It'd be interesting to hear maybe whether the plan was to kill him off, and maybe it'll come out at a late point. Maybe that was meant to be a death scene, and maybe because they had decided maybe we're going to do more with Tobey Maguire's character, to see whether that was changed at some point in the story or in film. Maybe they did reshoots and got him in again to do further scenes. It'd be interesting to know what happened there. But yeah, I felt like that was just kind of a bit of like a weird moment, because it felt like they were giving us a death, but they didn't give us a death. That was an odd moment. But again, they were minor things I didn't enjoy, really. They were minor in the overall view of this movie. Overall view, it was a great movie. It was a great, great movie. So now let's talk about really the last part of this, the future of Tom Holland, of Andrew Garfield, of all these characters, the MCU moving forward with the character of Spider-Man. At the end of this movie, we see that everyone forgets, including MJ and Ned, all the Avengers, Happy. Everyone forgets that Peter Parker is the identity of Spider-Man, the true person behind the mask. Because even Doctor Strange, who does the spell to make everyone forget, to get rid of all the villains, to go back to their universes. So they do the spell, and we see at the end moments of the movie where Tom Holland Spider-Man goes to like a cafe where MJ works, and she doesn't have a clue who he is. And the world's forgotten who he is. They don't even know him as a friend, which is really weird. So it's kind of like moving forward. We know Tom Holland is going to return. It was confirmed a few weeks back. It feels like, pardon me, that Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to be the main Spider-Man moving forward, but it's going to be a fresh slate. We see at the end his suit looked a bit more lighter in colour. We see like a lighter, brighter Spider-Man suit, which looked really good. It looked more similar to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man suit, so that is good to see. But I think it's moving forward. I think it's obvious that they will find out eventually again that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, MJ especially, and Ned. And I think it's like, it's nice. We've got like part one of this trilogy over. I think overall it was a great trilogy. They were all good movies. And I think, whereas the comparison to the Sam Raimi trilogy, the third movie was very up and down. It wasn't a good movie. This one, I feel like the first movie was solid. Second movie was solid. This was solid. They were all good films. And it was an interesting Spider-Man trilogy. I'll say it was the best Spider-Man trilogy I've ever watched. I've only ever watched two. It was fun to see, and I'm looking forward to the future of the Spider-Man universe, Spider-Man characters, Spider-Man films, what they do. I can envisage, I think in the future we're going to see more big team-up Spider-Man movies. I think it's going to happen. I think we're seeing the tease of this Sony Spider-Man universe, so it seems obvious that they're going to do more big team-ups on the Sony side of things, and also include Spider-Man in future Avengers movies as well. But I think eventually they will find out. MJ, Ned will all find out Spider-Man is Peter Parker again. They maybe will reverse parts of the spell. I think something like that will happen, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope we get like a Miles Morales in future movies, as well as like a protege of Tom Holland Spider-Man. I made a prediction video a few weeks back, and I don't think even one of my predictions come through on this movie. But it was, I think it leaves room for the future. It leaves a lot of room, and I think they did it the best way. Now, we've now got this platform where we go back to square one in a way, where no one knows who he is. And it is just back to the first movie before Civil War, really. So it's cool to see. We are going to get fresh stories, and it works within the timeline, within the continuum of the story. And I am excited for the future of Spider-Man. When Spider-Man 4 comes out, I can't see it being too far away. I imagine within the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to get Spider-Man 4, or we're going to at least get news of that Spider-Man 4 movie coming out. But yeah, for the future, I think it's going to be exciting times for Spider-Man moving forward. But anyway, that is the headline topic for today's show over and done with. Now let's move on to another section of today's show. We're going to move on to the section called Movies for the Weekend. This is where I give you my movie recommendations for this weekend. And I've got 2 movies to speak of today. First of all, we're on the topic of Marvel. We've got a movie here. I've been watching this past week, I've been catching up with Hawkeye. I've started watching it this week, and really having a lot of fun. Really surprised by how good the series is. I didn't expect I'd like it that much, but it is a really good series. I'd really recommend watching it if you've not already seen it. But we've got to start off with a movie where I feel like Jeremy Renner, the star of Hawkeye, really comes into his own, and that is in Avengers Assemble. Superb film, and he is great in this film. There's a great little story arc within this movie. I really like this film. Well worth checking out if you like Hawkeye. Next movie I want to discuss is, I've seen a few extra new trailers. I think it might have been a Japanese trailer, or I think it was a Japanese trailer of the new Batman movie. The Batman was released and there was like extra footage on it. And it teased maybe a Joker appearance, I think it was. But we're talking about, in this movie, we're going to get the Riddler in this new Batman movie. I think let's give Batman Forever a bit of love, because this is a fun movie. Val Kilmer as Batman, I still like these 90s Batman movies. I think every Batman movie has its good points and bad points. This definitely has its good and bad points, but I think it's a fun movie, this one. Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and I'm sure it's going to be night and day in comparison to what the new movie's going to be like, but still, Batman Forever is a fun movie to watch, well worth checking out. So they are the movies for the weekend recommendations for today's show over and done with now, ladies and gents. Now we move on to the part of the show called Amazon Top 10. This is where we look at the Amazon Top 10 in DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K physical media releases. And we do the bestseller list each and every week on the Saturday Movie Show. This week, we're starting off, let's talk about, first of all, number 10 on the list. Number 10, we have Disney's Cruella DVD. That is at number 10. At number 9, we have Fast and Furious 9 DVD. At number 8, we have a new entry, which is not surprising, but this is a Christmas movie, and that is Elf. And that is at number 8 in the top 10 this week. At number 7, we have, again, in the top 10, Cliff Richard, The Great 80s Tour, something I will never watch in my lifetime. Number 6, we have the Harry Potter collection, the 8-film collection on DVD. Number 5, we have Marvel Studios' Black Widow on DVD. Number 4, we have another new addition to the bestsellers list, and this is the 4K Spider-Man No Way Home Amazon exclusive Steelbook 2-disc edition that is coming out in the new year. I think it's late January. I think at the end of January it's coming out. That is a new addition to the bestsellers list. I mean, that's on pre-order as of now. Next up, we have number 3. We have No Time to Die, the 4K. Then we have the Blu-ray at number 2 of No Time to Die. And at number 1, again, No Time to Die. No surprises with this as well. It's been dominating for a few weeks now. Is number 1 with the DVD release of No Time to Die. And that is the Amazon Top 10, the last one for 2021, ladies and gents. Now we move on to the final segment of today's show. And this is What's Been On the Screen. What's been on the screen? We need to get a theme song ready for that. Let's see. What have I been watching this past week? First of all, I have been watching Hawkeye. Spoilers ahead for the last episode of Hawkeye, episode 5, that's come out this past week in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So Hawkeye. I think it'd be strange not to talk about the show because it has a lot of ties, I suppose, into the Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. And so in this previous episode, again, big spoiler, but we get the reveal which we all thought was coming, and this was that Vincent D'Onofrio, the guy who played Kingpin in the Daredevil TV show, is returning to that role, and he is returning in Hawkeye, and he is the main villain of that. He's been teased throughout the show, and we kind of knew it was coming. But we didn't know whether that guy would be playing the role of Kingpin again. And I'm glad he is. And it's, comparison, a big tie-in, because we see another character from the Daredevil show, Matt Murdock Daredevil, make his appearance on the same day in the Spider-Man movie. So we get 2 big returns from the Marvel Netflix universe. And I think moving forward now, it's clear to us all that they're going to do a Daredevil TV show, or at least we're going to get a Daredevil storyline in the MCU of some sort. And that is exciting, because I thought that Daredevil show was fantastic, and it was an utter shame that got cancelled. I think the other ones were great as well, but that was, for me, the number 1 out of those 4 shows, out of Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage. Daredevil was just magnificent. It was a 10 out of 10 show for me. So that's exciting. I think it's been exciting throughout this show. I think Hawkeye has been really good. I think it's been cool at building up this new Avenger in Kate Bishop. She's obviously going to take the mantle of Hawkeye at the end of the show. It's so obvious. I like this Hawkeye, this Jeremy Renner, Clint Barton, who is, it feels like he's trying to leave Hawkeye behind. He doesn't like getting involved, but he's also making up for his mistakes when he was the Ronin, and he's trying to, heal those wounds, but he struggles, and it's an interesting story, and seeing him fighting with his past is a really interesting story as well. But seeing that reveal at the end when we got Yelena, the Black Widow Yelena, played by Florence Pugh from the Black Widow movie, make her appearance in the episode 4, but she makes a larger appearance in this, and she interacts with Kate Bishop in this story, in this episode, and it was a really cool interaction. She's the one who sends a text to Kate Bishop at the end, revealing that it's Kate Bishop and it's Kingpin who is working with Kate Bishop's mum, and she is obviously involved in some crime activities. So, moving into the final episode coming up this week, it's going to be great because I'm sure we're going to see on screen, because we only see a picture of Kingpin, but we know it's him, and we're going to see him on screen for sure. It's going to happen. We're going to get a big final battle, and it's going to be great to see. Imagine though if they kill off the Kingpin and in the last episode, I'd be like, no. I can't see it happening. I think he's going to be the big villain in Hawkeye season 2, and then whatever other Marvel TV shows coming up. I think he's going to be a big part of the MCU villain side of things on the TV shows moving forward. I can't wait to see. So that was really exciting. Great show so far, the Hawkeye TV show. What else did I watch this past week? I watched another movie. I watched Boss Level, and this is a Frank Grillo movie starring Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson. And it was like a time loop movie. It was on Amazon, and I really had a lot of fun. Frank Grillo, you'd know him from what villain did he play in the Captain America show? In the Captain America movies, I forget what his villain name is now. I'll have to try and think. My brains went blank. It's early morning. It's an early Saturday morning. My brains went blank. We all know it. I'm sure a lot of people know who I'm referencing when I say Frank Grillo. But great time loop movie. It reminded me of Live, Die, Repeat, the movie with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. Very similar to that. A lot of video game influence. So it's this guy who lives the same day over and over again. He's got to find out why he's living this day and why. How can he stop this day going over and over again? He's got to try and save people as well. And it's good. You see the same moments of the movie go over and over again, and he's getting killed. He's like, people are attacking him. And it reminds me of like a Kill Bill meets Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. It was very, very like that sort of like throw them movies in together. This is what you get in this Boss Level movie. It is a fun movie. Mel Gibson is great as the villain, but Frank Grillo as the main character, as the main star of this movie, he has some great scenes. It's a really fun action movie throughout, some great action scenes, just entertaining all out as well. So I would highly recommend checking out Boss Level. This is a movie that came out this year, early on at the early point of this year. I think it was a home release. I think it was like when a lot of the cinemas were locked down. I think it was straight to Amazon. Well worth checking out, Boss Level. And that's what I've been watching this past week, what's been on my screen. But anyway, that is today's show over and done with. If you enjoyed today's show, please do give it a like and check out the rest of my movie-related content as well. And let me know your thoughts on today's show. Did you enjoy today's show? What did you think of the discussion? What were your thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home? What parts did you enjoy? Which parts did you maybe not like as well? What do you think on my thoughts on this movie? Let me know all your thoughts below. Thank you very much for watching the last Saturday movie show of 2021. Thank you for joining me for this fun-packed edition. I will see you all in 2022 for more Saturday shows. And come and join us on Monday for the Monday Christmas quiz, which will be on the channel on Monday, probably about Monday evening time, UK time. That's going to be fun. It's going to be action-packed. I hope you all have a lovely Christmas and a lovely New Year. A happy holiday season, whatever you do over this end point of the year. Have a great time. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for being a part of this community for over the past year. It's been awesome. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching today's show. And as always, I will see you next time.